Welcome, welcome. Blessings, blessings, everyone. You're here with another late night broadcast from Miss Grace. If you don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace. I come on 3 days a week, usually in the morning time, and we chop it up about politics, what's going on from a non-biased perspective, and we show, excuse me, excuse me, we show the world that us as Americans are not dumb, are not fickle, we have morals, and we know how to talk without downgrading people. This is what we do here. So today we have a special broadcast. I've been waiting to do this broadcast. Actually, I just usually go with the Holy Spirit about what I talk about. So I have mustered up the courage to look through the Epstein file. And as I promised, I'm going to be reading case by case, or at least complaint by complaint, because there's a few reasons. One, excuse me, can you guys hear me and see me? I'll let the notifications go out while I get everybody warmed up. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, cool, 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 cool. All right. So there's two reasons why I want to do this. Let's start from the personal reasons. I want to do this because one, I want to send love and blessings to the women and the young girls who have went through it. There is basically a spiritual blindness that's over some people that believe that sexual assault doesn't happen, or if it does happen, the woman was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the men get some type of excuse. Now, in these particular cases, you're going to see that um, these lawsuits, civil lawsuits, were filed up to before 20 years. This, the legal limit to file these type of cases. But then that gives other people, more to say, like, why did they wait so long and things like that. So what we're gonna do is one, we're gonna try to kill the stereotypes by talking about this comprehensively. And then two, we're going to highlight some of Epstein's co-defendants because it just blows me that there's only two people who actually been arrested and charged with the numerous sexual assaults that happened to these young ladies. Okay, so before we get totally into that, some of his co-defendants that we're hearing in this particular case that we're going to read, i.e., possibly Victoria's Secret ex-CEO. We're going to get into that and a little bit of these people background. I do want you guys to understand, as a sexual assault victim myself, more than one time, sometimes it's hard for us to remember what has happened. So I want you guys to keep that in mind too, because psychologically, it's like a post-traumatic stress that happens for people who have been actually assaulted. And I'm thinking hard. I'm trying to, because this touched me. This touched me so much that when I read the case, I took a nap and I had the most horrific dream. Okay, literally, I have to pray that God cover me while I read this because I feel like it's going to uncover some things that has happened to me. Um, we'll talk about that on another live. But just know, guys, in sexual assault victims that will resonate with this, there are some things in your memory that you just cannot remember because of the abuse being so horrific. And for us to have to read this and say these young ladies' names, my prayers go out to them for comfort, for guidance, and strength because they have to relive this. And I would assume the more they hear about it, talking and things, more memories are going to flood into their head because there is a psychological response, which is a defense mechanism known as kind of like the not me, when you separate yourself from the situation. So I want to highlight that if any of the women ever come across some of the cases that I'm going to read, I'm going to continue to send you love and blessings and to tell you guys that I understand. And I think reading this is going to reveal some things that happened to me because I can't remember my childhood. And I think that is deeply rooted in some type of sexual assault or something that happened to me that I can't remember. But these cases, if I tell you the dream I had, oh, thank God it wasn't me, the person that was receiving what I had, what I saw in my dream. So let's get to it, guys. I'm not going to prolong no more. If you don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace. We're going to be going over one of the Epstein's cases. And this case highlights a woman, a young woman by the name of Juliet Bryant. We're just going to call her Juliet, and she is suing his estate. Now, I'm a little blown as I read this to you guys. I'm going to say some things, and y'all say some things too, because I'm like, okay, more people are supposed to be named in this. What is going on? So, this is the particular case. I ask for you guys to be adult, okay? Be mature. If you agree, you don't agree, it's perfectly fine. But we just ask for you to speak with some logic because the world is watching us. The world has been watching America, and we just didn't care. And a lot of, and I'm saying we because I fall collectively under this group. A lot of us act like fools. We're disregarding to people's lives, their ethnicity, things that's going on, and we don't do that here. Okay, so just giving you a heads up because this is really sensitive topic, but I am going to be talking about it pretty stoically because I don't want to bring a lot of emotion to it. So this is what we're going to be going over today. And this also, this complaint is case number 119 CV 10479 ALC DCF document 1. This is the first 16 pages. This is the complaint. Okay, y'all know it's hundreds of pages of document. I know how to read quick documents. I just need to find the ones that's relevant to you guys, that you guys keep your attention. So that's what we're going to be going over today. And there's a few things that I'm going to show you, but I'm just going to read that to you. And then when we get to the co-defendants and some of the questions I have, we're going to bring those co-defendants up, i.e., Victoria's Secret CEO was named in this. Also, two young ladies that are not arrested right now, which was Epstein assistant and one real estate assistant by the name of Lise Wexner. We're going to look into her. Sarah Killen, we're going to look into her, as well as, his right hand, Madame Miss Maxwell is named in this as well. So let's get it, okay, guys? So the nature of the complaint. The suit arises out of Jeffrey Epstein sexual abuse plaintiff began when plaintiff was 20. Okay, so this right here is going to highlight that a lot of the victims that have been accosted and brought into this trafficking ring was literally forced and coerced. They wasn't living the life, they wasn't looking for it, and a lot of them wasn't just runaways. But we do have some questions about parents and overseeing and what's going on. Okay, so this young lady, Juliet, was 20 years old at least when she was trafficked by the plaintiff at his home in the United States to Paris. Plaintiff was a young girl living in South Africa with hopes to become a model. Now remember, South Africa, because I say South Africa doesn't mean that they're just black, because we already know that they tried to colonize South Africa. We have plenty of Caucasian South African women. So let's just throw that out there because he has abused all shapes, sizes, and colors, even my Haitian children. So we don't know her ethnicity. I didn't pull her up, but she is a native of South Africa. So, excuse me. Plaintiff was a young girl in South Africa with hopes of becoming a model when she was approached by one of Epstein's recruiters about prospective modeling opportunities in the United States and invited her to a restaurant to meet Epstein. So this is the first person that I'm questioning. Who is this and why are they not named? Because some people are just not named. To meet Epstein, who was dining with former high U.S. government official and famous actress and well-known comedian. Bing, bing, bing. Bada boom, boom, bang. Okay? What appeared what appeared on the outside as a legitimate opportunity to break into the modeling business in the United States turned into years of horrific abuse and manipulation at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein traffic scheme involved recruiting young females. Now remember, this is a trafficking scheme, so this has to be involved more than one person. So we're emphasizing it because there's still people who are walking around us to this day that has not been charged and that may know more about the list. Okay, this is the pressure that we need. This is what we need to focus on. We have pedos walking around us that we don't know, and I will highlight this: these pedos are not just men; they are women. There are a lot of madams. There are a lot of women who play the part of luring girls and luring boys into situations to get them ex trafficking. And we're going to be talking about things, okay? Because we're not highlighting that. We're not highlighting that. So this young lady believed like it was a legitimate opportunity. If you don't know what we're reading this particular document right here. And I'll share the link with you guys. I should not have to. Y'all can go straight onto the Epstein file, which is located on the DOJ website, and retrieve these documents as well. And if y'all have not seen the DOJ website, we're going to bring it up real quick just to let you guys know what we're reading. They had tons and tons of documents here. And I will say this blows me right here. If you look, there is a Doe 1000. There's a there's a Jane Doe 1000. What does that mean? So we have up to 1,000 victims because it's like Jane Doe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17, things like that. So I'm kind of confused. How many victims do we actually have? Okay, please hit the like button when you come in because they don't want this information going out, and we want to focus in on what we need to focus in, not what the news want us to focus in, not just subtitles. We deep dive. We're going to expose some names. I pray, let's do this. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, cover me this time like you did last time, but really cover me from them blackballing and shadowing my child because this was the same thing I was doing last year, but I was doing this to the Democrats. And I was reading cases involving one of the most crookedest mayors on the South Side, Tiffany Henyard. Literally, this is why I'm streaming like this because they attacked my channel, shadow banned my channel, did things to my IP address for doing this right here. So I'm taking a chance because I don't care. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna expose. So I'm like, God, you want me to read these cases even on a bigger level, not just exposing the little Democrats? That's what you want me to do? Take the wheel, hit the like button, okay, guys? Don't be afraid of the truth. So let's go. So I printed it out. We're reading it, and we're gonna get to know some of these people who was named, and also the Victoria's Secret ex CEO. He has some drama connected to him, so it's gonna get a little deep, okay? So we're gonna be doing this late nights, guys. Yeah, let's finish get to it. So she believed that Juliet believed that this was a legitimate opportunity because Epstein was around U.S. government officials, famous actors, well-known comedian, and it appeared to be a legitimate opportunity to break into the modeling business into the United States. Now, Epstein trafficking scheme involved recruiting young women from many um, and by making many false promises and using his wealth, power, and threats to intimidate the female into submission to his demands. This same pattern was repeated numerous times with numerous women. The United States District Judge Keith Myra found from between 1999 and 2007, Jeffrey Epstein actually abused more than 30 women. And after 2007, he was still walking around. But we're going to keep it going. And at his mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, and elsewhere in the United States and overseas, making this an international crime. In addition to his own sexual abuse victim, Epstein directed other persons to abuse the girls sexually. So we need to figure out who these other persons, and I'm kind of like shocked why they're not named. Epstein used paid employees to find and bring minors to him. So we had not only other persons that actually abused this young lady, but also you had his employees that brought women to him. Now we know who his employees because he paid these employees. Epstein worked in cahoots with others to obtain minors, not only for his own actual gratification, but also for actual gratification of others. This is why this case needs to continue to be brought to the light. We continue need to push it because the others are still walking around. This is Doe 1 versus United States. And I was like, okay, where's Doe 1 versus United States? And I'm looking through the Epstein files and I cannot find it because it says initial citation is omitted. So this case must be still that they're talking about that involves others. Others. Okay. There's so much that we don't know. Epstein organized this sexual trafficking network to obtain hundreds of young females for himself and others, and also lent these females out to powerful and wealthy individuals for sexual abuse. DOJ, DOJ. We asking, where's the real investigation? Where is the others? Trump said that that they was embarrassing other people by putting their name here, but there were others involved in here. Epstein conspired with others. That's what keep coming up here that really bothers me. And hired staff, others in hired staff to maintain and keep secret this network of sexual abuse for years, which spiraled throughout Epstein's residence in New York, Florida, Mexico, United States, the Virgin Islands, and the residents in out of primarily out of the residence in New York. Epstein's preference was to have three different young females a day for his sexual pleasure. We're talking over, if he had different girls, repeat, we're talking about over 1,000 girls in 1 year, at least. For 500, I'm going to give it to him, half, because some of them will repeat. Is this not big enough for you guys to keep on pushing this? Yeah, we're going to keep reading. That's a whole lot. And to find out allegedly, and if he said this, because I watched the interview, and this is what blew me, that I gotta get it explicit, his was shaped like a ping pong ball. How disgusting. How, I'm just going to get a little vulgar. That's why we're doing it overnight. It is not for kids, but this is what it is, okay? So he wanted at least three different young females a day for his pleasure. Despite his significant criminal activity in 2008, Epstein received a shockingly minimum charge, pleading guilty to a single Florida state law charge of procuring a minor for obstetrician, non non-prosecutional agreement. I'm saying that a different way, which is called NPA, with the United States Attorney of Southern District, Florida. Shout out to Florida. Y'all remember Polk County? Polk County was going with Polk County allegedly holding that sheriff that's always out there that I told y'all go watch Polk County. One of the biggest county content creators exposed him, basically hiding a story about a pedo where a girl literally had to get evidence that she was being R by her family because she kept reporting it to them and they said that she wasn't telling the truth. Shout out to Florida. Shout out to Florida, Polk County. I think could be one of the counties. I'm just saying. This brings it to real life to you for you guys to know that this is happening. That's why I like watching so much different news and paying attention. Because I'm like, whoa, something did funny happen in Polk County. Now the sheriff was being weird. This is not out of pocket. This is not far fetched to believe at this point. So despite his criminal history in 2008 in I think Polk County in Florida State, and having this MPA, we in the South District of Florida, unknown to the public and the victims at the time, Epstein lawyers was pressuring the government to commit the NPA without informing the victim. Okay, so I guess they were trying to wipe it off the book. Epstein, multiple victims were kept in the dark and was told to be patient while lawyers worked to protect him and other potential co-conspirators went unprosecuted. Is this a system error or is this just an Epstein issue? Epstein served 1 year but was afforded the privilege of being able to leave the jail and go to work for 12 hours per day, 6 days a week. The MPA allowed Epstein to escape a proportionate punishment for his actions, and he continued to operate his ex trafficking enterprise with liberty. All right. A few years later, Epstein referred to his sexual abuse case of multiple minors as a slap on the wrist. He had received for the 2011, according to the 2011 interview post in the post. So this is what we're going to get to. I pulled up that interview of Epstein, New York Post. Let me make sure that I have it. Hold on a second. Oh, it was on the other one. I pulled it up. We're gonna look at see what he said because Epstein was talking greasy right in front of us. He didn't care. He didn't care because he got away. He was connected to the elite. Okay. Love you too. I guess people don't want to know the truth about Epstein. I guess they don't want the truth to come out because it's hurting their feelings about Trump. But let's see if the New York Post let us. Because I don't want to. I don't know. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's see if this comes up. Let's see if this comes up. We doing deep diving. We doing deep diving here. We're gonna read each case and we're gonna connect the dots. And we're going to expose the people who are still walking around these streets right now. Billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, I am a sexual offender, not a predator. What's the difference? Look at this. And who is this little looking girl right here? He loved being around little looking girl. Billionaire pervert Jeffrey Epstein in the back in the New York City, and making wisecrack about his just ended jail sentence for having sex with an underage girl. I'm not a sexual predator. I'm an offender. The Financer told Post yesterday, it is a difference between a murderer and a person who steals bagels. Mm. Epstein reasons aside, New York judge ruled at the hearing last month that the money man is the most dangerous kind of sexual offender. He's a level 3. That means, according to the state, Epstein is a high risk to repeat his offense and poses a threat to the general public. And they knew this in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. But Epstein doesn't seem to be bothered by this designation. The crime that was supposedly committed in Florida is not a crime in New York, he said. Epstein recently returned to his $50 million estate, 71st Street mansion, and celebrated his release from the Florida jail with his close pal, Britain Prince Andrew. Yeah. Epstein served 13 months. There you go, Prince Andrew. Epstein served. Oh, hold on one second. You know it's gonna pop up on us. Epstein served 13 months of a 18-month sentence for soliciting a minor for prostitution. In the court papers, the victim was identified as a 14-year-old girl. At one point, Epstein was facing 10 years to life on multiple counts of statutory arson, according to the investigators. Court documents in this case claim he routinely sought out girls young as 14 and paid them $200 to $1,000 for sexual massages in his home in Palm Beach, Florida, and Manhattan. He also girls who had bought he had bought from South Africa, and this connects to the story that we're reading right now, and Europe, and once was giving 3 12-year-old girls from France as a birthday gift. Who gave him 3 12-year-old girls from France as a birthday gift? That is the big question behind everything that I read. Everything that we're going to go over when I go over these things is literally the who behind it, because there's going to be a lot of people who you love, stars that's right in front of you, that's involved in this. Not just stars, politicians, and everything. If we're going to drain the swamp, we're going to drain the swamp properly. Okay? Epstein snuck a secret non-prosecution deal with the Fed. The government agreed to drop its probe of the various ex-crime allegations if Epstein chopped, excuse me, guys, chopped the prosecution felony in Florida State Court. But in New York's actual offender database, Epstein doesn't come up in the zip code research. He shows up only via the name search option, and no New York address is listed. Upper, this is because Epstein Upper East Side home is considered temporary. By state law, he is required to provide only his permanent address to the database. You see how they worked around that? Where they didn't put his information out there. This curve. So this was his, coming out. He like, man, I didn't do anything. I'm good. It's nothing but stealing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because that's how they treated it. So that was his response in the New York Times. Let's get back to the case now. Despite his significant criminal activity in 2008, Epstein received the shockingly minimum charge. Okay, so the MPA allowed Epstein to escape from proportionately correct punishment. Okay, a few years later, Epstein, Epstein did this in 2011, and now let's move on. Just okay. So he said, "I'm not a sexual predator. I'm an offender." We read that. He also said in August 2018, just 1 year before his death, Epstein told the New York Times reporter that criminalizing X with teenagers was a culture, a I'm saying it wrong, and that is like abomination, and that at times in his story it was perfectly acceptable. This man literally is interviewing after being prosecuted. This is how bold he is. That's what I'm saying. He had the people around him. And we need to figure out who these people around him because they still covering up. How could he? Imagine what the victims are going through watching what this man is saying and doing. Seeing numerous girls still going into his place, nothing stopping the repeated abuse that they had to feel from the system, lack thereof, prosecution, and doing what they're supposed to do. That's why we have to push this because these women have come out in front of the Congress, the Senate, in front of everybody, poured their hearts out, telling their truths, and guess what's happening? Hundreds of others are walking away and we have LIENS possibly about to get pardoned by our pedo president and everybody else just kind of just using this as a storyline. And he's trying, and I'm talking about the president, is trying to distract us by going into war with everybody he can go into war with. Okay, but we won't be distracted. He's foul. There needs to be more that's coming out because when you say Jane Doe 1000, and I show you that, go look and it's jumping. We have 1,000 victims here. What is going on? When I read this and it says that is another case that's hidden that names others that we're not seeing. Who are the others? We're going to talk about three of the others today. Okay, we're going to talk about it. So, um, so this is about this complaint right now. We're going to talk about what happened with her. So basically, it said that this complaint was filed timely. Basically, she filed it after Epstein passed away, highlighting that she was intimidated, she was coerced, she was threatened that her family would be unalive, and seeing all these big, powerful people and what he got. Of course, these girls are going to think that this is true. So when he passed away, this is when a lot of the lawsuits came about, and this is when this one came about. So it says when plaintiff was 20 years old, Epstein added her to the long list of victims by committing sexual assault and battery against her. As such, Epstein is responsible for battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress, prosecution to New York common law. All right, so the demand of the plaintiff has been served within or at least 20 years. Okay, so a criminal action against Epstein was re, hold on, respected. Hold on one second. Hold on. I highlighted where I wanted to go. Okay. These actions also been timely filed. This is talking about the timely filing. Let me move on. Hold on. Because I highlighted because we kept talking about the 20-year thing and given the law. Okay, so it talks about the statute. Okay, it says, okay, now that is the introduction. The parties here. The only parties that they name here is Miss Juliet as being the plaintiff, and the defendant is only the people who are in charge of Epstein estate. Okay, and that's the Darren and Deaky. Okay, that's why we only see him and the Richard Kane. He's being sued in his capacity because he's appointed the executor of Epstein estate. Mind you, there's nobody else named in this lawsuit. Now, it goes into jurisdiction, but we're going to get into the factual allegations. Now, bear with me. I had to highlight some things and jump around because it gets a little bit repetitive. That's why I was like, let me just jump into it. So, Epstein was widely renowned as a billionaire who used his vast connection and powerful individual and seemingly unlimited wealth and resources to create a web of transconnected actual trafficking that served himself, his co-conspirators, and some most important people in the world. That's who we want to highlight. Co-conspirators and most important and powerful people in the world. Epstein owned multiple residences and frequently traveled between them, including his New York apartment, all the way to Mexico and Paris. Epstein, he talked about his value of his property, 55 million. They just trying to get it set up for the come up. And then she goes at all times. These actions of Jeffrey Epstein utilized his seemingly unlimited power, wealth, and resources, as well as his deep connection to powerful political connected individuals to intimidate and manipulate his victims for actual abuse. Okay. Epstein and his co-conspirators had perfected. There we go. Let's get to it. So Epstein and his co-conspirators have perfected the scheme for manipulating and abusing young women. As part of the scheme, a female recruiter, and this is who we need to highlight, okay? We're going to get into this. A female recruiter would approach the young female, strike up a conversation in an effort to quickly learn about the young female's background and any vulnerable areas that they can expose. The recruiter would then manipulate the young girl into coming back to Epstein's residence by offering the young girl something that they needed. Okay, so we need to find out who is his recruiter. At times, the recruiter's lure would be a modeling opportunity, money for education, help for the young girl's family, and a whole host of other related offers depending on the targeted situation. Okay. Once in the residence, the recruiter and Epstein will work in cohort to impress and intimidate the young female by displaying vast wealth, including having employees that were butlers and maids formally dressed around the house showing prestige. They will also strategically place photos of very powerful political and social figures amongst the photograph and art displaying new females in the effort to normalize the actual abuse. So this is how the manipulation starts, where he starts, just leaving a little pornographic video out, a little book out there. Now I need you guys to pay attention to these tactics because people do this regularly. Family members is doing this to family members. Bosses is trying to do this to, their employees. It happens all the time. So if you feel something that's weird, little signs and symptoms of weirdness, don't don't think that you're going crazy because these are some of the build-ups of what they were doing. They were putting subliminal messages out there like rich, I'm powerful, I got butlers, all of this beautiful art, and then you have all of this nakedness going on, and I can make you the biggest model. A lot of mind effery going on. So remember, these young girls wasn't always povertized. They wasn't all just runaways. They were looking for opportunities and they were promised opportunities because they were scouted out. They were scouted out by his people, found out their weakness and figured out what they want and gave them a world of fake promises. They would they will also normalize the actual abuse by placing massage tables and spa-related products around the massage areas in effort to legitimize the areas where the abuse would take place. Once abused, Epstein and his co-conspirators continue to manipulate the victim using their financial promises, power promises, and threat to ensure the victim returns and direct and remain in compliance with them. This is a mind manipulation. So they're telling them, hey, you can don't tell nobody because I could get your father fired. And you're gonna see in this where he basically tells the young lady, I have someone who told on me, this is Epstein telling her, someone told on me, I planted drones on them and got the police to lock them up. This is some of the ways that he coerced and threatened the women. Okay? Mm, let's go. So, this is the arrest, prosecution, and death of Epstein. Just a little bit about it. You guys kind of know what happened. But it says the actual assault ring described here started at least in 1995 and continued to 2019, up to the COVID. That was when it happened. The COVID was 2009. That's my reference point for 2019. When the U.S. Attorney Office for the South District of New York charged Epstein with actual trafficking conspiracy and actual trafficking in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1591. He was arrested July 2019 pursuant to SDNY sealed two-count indictment. Okay, so we talked about this. So let's get into Juliet Bryant, who she is a little bit. Thank you for making your comment as well as thank you for YouTube retracting the ignorance. Okay, um, I will say that. Let's learn a little bit about Miss Bryant, the victim here. Okay, Quentin Juliet Bryant was born July in South Africa in 1982. So she's about 43 years old now. In 2002, Juliet was 20 years old and an aspired model in Cape Town. Najee Hill, an American model, approached Juliet in an attempt to befriend her. So they used an American model, somebody else who was modeling, to approach her. This is Najee Hill. Hill asked Juliet if she would like to meet Epstein. So this is who we need to figure out who Hill is. But I couldn't find who Najee Hill was. But we're going to look her up because this is a person that initially contacted Juliet and said, hey, you want to meet somebody important? I can hook you up with Epstein. He is the king of America, as according to Hill. Hill described Epstein as a well connected billionaire who could help her with her modeling career and explained that he was visiting Africa with former high U.S. government officials and famous actors and well known comedians. Okay? All right, so Najee Hill is one of his lords, okay? One of his, what you call him? Catch a girl, is what I'm gonna call it. Julia considered meeting Epstein an amazing opportunity because modeling in New York City was always been one of her biggest dreams. Hill brought Julia to the restaurant to meet Epstein, who at the time was dining with former U.S. government officials, the former actor, and well-known comedian. So it must have been some type of event that she came and, met him at. Juliet had never met celebrities before. She was invited to attend a speech of a former high U.S. government official that was given in Cape Town the next day. Maybe I gotta do a Candice Owens and get a little deeper, okay? Because there was a former U.S. government official. We don't know if it was Bill, but we're not gonna say it's him. But it was somebody out there in Cape Town giving a speech and was escorted to this speech by police cars and individuals associated with the former official. So she was just blown. I would be too. Like, oh my God, you riding in limos out of the blue. You're meeting people. Lady, this may be El Stapo, and that is called love bombing, when somebody just show you everything at once. They're trying to trap you. Okay, we're talking about this too because you guys need to talk to your young girls about this as well, because they're getting lured into situations that they could be avoided if they had these key indicators or knew about these key indicators. Okay, these are some of the things that I wish my mother would have talked to me about when I was younger. Some of these girls don't know how to say no. They'll say no, but it doesn't mean no. It means no, but how can I say, it don't come off as a strong no because they're afraid. Does that make sense? Okay. So us as women and men who have young girls and boys, we have to teach them about these signs and symptoms. I even had to, I say signs and symptoms, I'm a nurse. I even had to talk to my son because we're in Atlanta and he's into his business. He wants to, he customize, he does clothes, and that's part of entertainment. And I've been really talking to him about being careful of who you connect to because you may connect to someone who you think want to give you opportunity and they take you and try to Tyler Perry you. Because we got Tyler Perry type people out here that they want to strong arm people into that type of stuff. So you have to talk to your boys and your girls about this. This is why we're talking about it because these are ways that you wouldn't even knew that these victims was actually lured into this. A lot of you guys just think, oh, they were runaways, they were poor runaways. Some of them were not. Some of them were already in prominent programs like being violinists, things like that, and they were looking to advance their opportunity. Okay, so let's just keep this in real time. So we do have Hill as someone that we not kind of need to look into because Hill actually brought Juliet to the restaurant, blew her mind. They blew her mind. Okay. Later, Epstein asked Juliet to bring her modeling portfolio to his hotel for casting. Girls, don't feel away when a guy asks you to go to the hotel and you say no. He said, can you want to come to my house and watch a movie? You say no. When you first meet somebody, I think in the first 3 to 6 months, I'm just keeping it real, maybe because I'm a Hebrew and I'm abstinent. Baby, I'm not going to your house. We're going on a date. We don't need to be in an intimate setting because as men and women, we have these hormones, we have these things that goes on. You may smell something on me that I don't want to give off. And you may feel a certain way and think that because we here at this time that is appropriate. No, ladies, be careful. No, you can't always go to a hotel or go to somebody's house just to watch a movie. Sorry, it's not always Netflix and chill. Y'all might as well just talk on the phone because sometimes these people don't have right intention. So that was a red light for me for the rip. But maybe Miss Juliet mother or family never told her like, wait a minute. Casting calls happen at a modeling agency, not a hotel. But let's keep it going. So later, Epstein asked Juliet to bring her modeling portfolio to his hotel for casting. Epstein told Juliet that he owned the modeling agency and will let her, will get her an agent in New York. He also mentioned that his good friend Lex Wexner, who is Lex Wexner? Do y'all know who that is? Do you know who that is? Lex Waxner is the old CEO of Victoria's Secret. And that I'm critical of pedos, and I highlighted that there was a lot of women that's involved in this. So don't get your penny in the bunch because I'm going to highlight all the crooks. And if it offends you, maybe the rock hit where it ain't supposed to, and that's your head. Okay, guys, this is a very touchy subject, and you won't tell me how to tell this story. Me, myself, being a sexual assault victim, having that not me and having a flood of memories coming to me and me having to work through this and then you're going to come and tell people how to tell a story or how to feel or no, that's just not going to work. Okay, but let's get to it because this is serious. Okay, and I'm talking from a non-biased perspective and still trying to treat these people as human beings when they were not, when they don't behave. Okay. Hmm. So let's get to this. Who is Lex Waxman, and how is he connected to Epstein? He is the ex-CEO of Victoria Secret. And what do we have on here? Alumni hold photos of billionaire Lex Waxner with Jeffrey Epstein while demanding testimony in school sexual abuse case. We believe Waxner's testimony will shed light. Former OSU wrestler Tom Linsley said about abuse allegation against Dr. Richard's status. So he is named in another incident with the actual abuser, the same person who was mentioned by Epstein to lure Miss Juliet in. Okay, he's dropping names here. So I was like, who are these people? So former Ohio State University student trying to get billionaire Lex Waxner to testify about Richard Stasher. a former campus director who allegedly abused dozens of men, staged a protest Thursday at the Board of Trustee meeting where they brought up Waxner's past friendship with ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein as well. And they did so without uttering a word at the actual meeting. So they did it outside with the meeting. Nobody talked about it. That was just probably recorded. We wanted to let them know that Waxner has been avoiding the subpoena. Former OSU wrestler Mike DeBasio said they didn't let us speak at the board because those board meetings are recorded. Nearly a dozen former OSU students held a protest. Now, this sounds like a boy. This sounds like a man. So I'm not being discriminatory because, as I mentioned, there's females and young boys who have been victims of his sex trafficking scheme. And this is big. This goes into schools, colleges. We're going to show you here how this touched this guy right here we're talking about, Mr. Waxner. He's actually, I think he's the ex-CEO of Victoria's Secret, which connects to the modeling aspects of this. Okay? So nearly a dozen former students held a protest against this guy because he was sexually abusing a student, and Mr. Waxner had some type of knowledge about it. Where Waxner, and it says there's a photo aside of Waxner with the former close associate, he was publicly distancing himself from accused sex trafficker ex Epstein. So these are the protesters that's there that was not able to talk at the meeting, and they wanted to ask, where's Waxner? He's not being served. He's possibly a witness to this as well. OSU Board of Trustees is chaired by Zigger, who is both the father and lawyer partner of Waxner Lawyers. Oh my God, Matthew Zigger. Okay. I'm gonna have to keep this article up and maybe keep these names in mind because okay, this goes into law firms as well. So when you think that you're gonna go get help from a law firm, they may have ties to Epstein and other people who's connected to him, and they may not take your case seriously. Okay, let's get to it. Let's keep it going. So we're seeing a little bit more unravel where we have possible lawyers, law firms involved in aiding people to not respond and cover up. Okay, we're going to keep this on this particular case because it could go down the rabbit hole. As you see, I'm starting to get so many names and I'm writing these names. Yes, I am going to be judgmental against pedos because that's what they are, and they're disgusting and they deserve to be castrated if you really want what I want to say. Okay, I'm from the tribe of Levi. You steal, you get your hands cut off. You want to steal girls' cookies? Cut it off now. Yes, I am biased. You feel away? Oh well, because maybe yours need to be cut off. Let's go. Bias Grace. Let's go. But we're showing you right here that there were men involved in Ohio State University. These students have been coming up and basically saying that, hey, this former coach has been abusing us, and Mr. Waxner, who is associated with Epstein, is avoiding the subpoena. Mr. Waxner, allegedly lawyer, is connected to who? Huh? Huh? The OSU person who is being accused. So, they sharing lawyers? Wow. Am I biased or is their biased? Okay. Are they biased? Yeah, they're biased against victims. Now let's find out a little bit more about Waxer because I got caught there, and then there's two other assailants. So, it says Lex Waxner was warned about Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly. He was warned about Jeff. So this is the Columbus Dispatch. This is a little bit more about Waxner. And I think I have a video to show you guys too about Waxner. So the Waxner owned Victoria's Secret and lingerie company. He was the CEO. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about, okay? Victoria's Secret CEO. So wasn't some allegations coming out a little bit about Victoria's Secret, or it was like a abrupt, how how can I say, exodus of CEOs of top companies around the COVID. Huh? It was around the time that Epstein got arrested. Y'all don't remember? It was like a big exodus of CEOs of top companies, and Victoria's Secret was one of them. All right, let's go. Let's keep this moving. Now, if y'all don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to be case reading one case a week or two cases a week from the Epstein files. This highlights the victim's point of view. This is going to be the initial complaint. The reason why I find it very important, because we need to find out who is the other. So please hit the like button, because these are the things that they don't want us to talk about, because the others are still walking around right now to this day free. These people have committed international assault, international. They have been from Paris to Mexico to, what do they say, France to the Caribbean islands in the United States. This is a multi country issue. This is big. So for only two people to go down about this, it says a problem, okay? Um, Let's move this guy. He's such a loser. Be an adult. Let me put you in timeout, okay? Because I think you're a child, Zach. You gotta be an adult, okay? Don't make up your own storyline and be a baby. I think she's against this. So you're saying that these pedos are homosexuals? So you're saying all homosexuals are pedos, Zach? That's what you're saying? Because I never said anything about homosexuality. So Zach, you're saying that all people who do this is homosexuals? I'm just saying, let's have this conversation, make it make sense. Because you're not going to do what they do, technology, and do a fake inference that I didn't say. Okay, but if that's what you're saying, hey, hey, I'm just saying, I don't know. Now, let's keep it moving. Now we already Lex Waxner. We'll pray that my Wi-Fi start working right, but we're gonna move on. Within a few days, Leslie Goff, okay, called Juliet. Juliet is the victim. Goff told Juliet that Epstein wanted to bring her to New York to model. Goff is who? His assistant. Goff was in New York at the time, helping Juliet get a visa, paperwork, airline ticket. Now we have to think about who is helping them get these paperwork so fast. Because you and I know, who do international traveling, it takes 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks to get your passport, unless you do it expedited and you could get it in 7 days. But I know they're not doing the normal process, because they're getting visa, passports, airline tickets, and possibly IDs for these young people. So that's why we ask them, who is the who behind this? Okay? Who is the who behind this? Now, moving forward, within 2 weeks, Juliet arrived to New York. A car picked her up. Now, Juliet is the victim. A car picked her up from the airport and brought her to the building on 66th Street, where Epstein housed some of the other models who were being abused as well. But Juliet was not there for long. Shortly after arriving at the apartment, Sarah Killing, another one of Epstein's co-conspirators. So we're going to get into who she is in 1 second. Let me just restart my computer, because we're having some issues. But hold on, let's just restart it. But we're going to read what Miss Sarah Kellens did, okay? Because this person is still walking right now. We have people who are keeping their eye on her, because she has not been prosecuted or accosted or even charged about anything. But she was part of this. And y'all going to figure out who Sarah is. Sarah. Okay. So within 2 weeks, shortly after arriving to the apartment, Sarah Kellings, another one of Epstein's co-conspirators, called and told Juliet that Juliet was going to the Caribbean. Juliet did not understand why she was traveling to the Caribbean so soon after arriving to New York, but hoped for a modeling job. Okay, so they have some of the flight records here. I can say, I'm just waiting for my computer to bunch back up, to come back up. But they do have the flight records of the young ladies here, which is true. Juliet was taken on Epstein private plane. Hold on a second. private plane. During the flight, Epstein began actually touching Juliet's legs. She felt trapped and terrified and feared that he would unalive her. They arrived at Epstein's home in the Virgin Islands. Epstein abused Juliet. There began when Kellen sent Juliet to Epstein's room. So Sarah Kellen was sending Juliet to his room. She played a part in it. So it's not just uh mm, Glenn, who was his right hand. You had another madam, female, that was forcing another young girl to go in with this predator. Ain't no bias here, baby. Ain't no bias here. We have disgusting women who are actually playing the Black Widow, where they entrapping these young girls into these situations. So Juliet was one of them. Please bear with me. I'm having some Wi-Fi issues. I want to show you who Juliet is, but they like, we're going to give her some issues. It's okay. We're going to close the program. We're going to I'm going to show you who Juliet is, and we're going to come back and I'm going to show you who the other person is too. Give me 1 second. All right, so Juliet also witnessed another young girl perform an oral on Epstein in front of Juliet while they were watching a movie. Okay, Juliet was terrified of Epstein and his power. No one knew where he was, and she believed that if anything happened to her, no one would ever know. Thank you for being here with me. If y'all don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace. We're bringing you the facts. We're going to be showing you who all these people are at the end of the day. Hold on 1 second. They were over here. Which one was it? Give me 1 second. I think. They over there playing with me. Give me 1 second, guys. They over here playing with me. This is very hard information to relay, but we're gonna relay it. And please, guys, help me out because they don't want us to talk about this. As you see, we have Chose at the bottom coming saying ridiculous stuff while we're talking about sexual abuse victim and the things that she have went through in the way that he have lured people into this, and they are coming at the bottom saying ridiculous stuff as though that these people have not been hurt, as though these girls didn't suffer anything. Oh, that's a shame. You know what it did, y'all? Don't worry, I'm gonna pull her right on up. Everything that I researched had went paused and it took her off. But let's put her up, Sarah. Sarah. They thought that they was gonna stop me. Not today. We're just gonna research right in front of y'all. Sarah killings, Epstein. Let's get it. They my whole thing went down. Sarah killings. Oh my god. Thank you for being here late night with me. We're going to do a late night broadcast like this. Guys, also, I want to tell you, I read the case and then I went to sleep and I had this horrible dream of actual abuse. Okay, so Sarah Killens, she is an insider designer known with her association with sexually convicted offender Epstein. She has been described as a key participant in Epstein operation, where she allegedly scheduled appointments with the victim. So this is, let's see if we can get a picture of who she is, because baby, they thought that we wasn't going to do it. They thought we wasn't going to do it. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Is that her? Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. All right, I had this all pulled up already, but you know the devil is a lie. So Epstein files. This was the case. Ghislaine Maxwell and her protege. This is what I want to listen to. because this talks about Miss Sarah Killings, okay? You're going to get to know a little bit about her. So Sarah was the one who basically helped lure Miss Juliet to Epstein and then directed her to go into Epstein room. So we're going to listen to this podcast right here a little bit to get to know who Miss Sarah is. And then we're going to be finding the articles that I had up about her because she's still walking around right now. Hold on, right now. Let me see if it'll let me sign it. Let's see what Apple Podcast. They're gonna be like, you gotta pay. Let's see. Let's see. 10 alleged co-conspirators. Hold on. Ooh, Reddit. Government exhibit photos 310 Jeffrey Epstein and Sarah killing in front of two injured. This is her. There she go. This is Sarah. This is one of his black widows that helped lure females to him. Let's see. This is Reddit. I couldn't go onto that podcast, y'all. I had all of it up already, but it literally like just cut off on me, right? Because they want to mess up our broadcast. So let's go to this lady, the woman political, the woman who enabled Jeff Epstein. No bias here. Women are big predators. Women are big predators. I promise you. Some women behave as though they're not the object of the whole operation, but sometimes they are. They are the brain of it. Even in white supremacy, a lot of white women are raising these white supremacy. Period. It's just what it is. All right. So the woman who enabled Jeff Epstein, I know y'all ain't want to hear that, Mega, but it is the truth. There she go. Let's get to this article, and then we're gonna move on to the next person. So we already got into Les Wexner. Now Lex Wexner had a little bit more to him going on because he also the lawyer that they were talking about ended up being unalive. Okay, as a lawyer that's connected to Les Wexner that was unalive that I didn't get to, but that was one of the things that I have found out that Wexner, the Victoria's CEO director, not only had more than one ties to other possible pedos and an avoiding to be subpoenaed, but allegedly the lawyer that was involved in this was unalive. Not Epstein, but the other cases. That's what I said. I'm gonna take my time down this, pick and choose, because we're going to be exposing some real names here, for real. All right. What is this? Politico made this into a story. Hold on, we don't want to read it. He was like, she said, one day I was stepping out of my Uber. Let's see. Hold on one second, y'all. I want to get something that's just kind of to the point. To the point. Thank you for being here late night. Don't worry, guys. I'll be getting it together even more. I had it together. Something happened. And also, I should have restarted my broadcast because I don't think the notifications went out. But it's okay. Sarah Killings News. Okay. What is this? Did they put her name up here? They're talking about. I see. I had it all up. Who is this? Defendant cannot escape the totality of evidence against Ghislaine Maxwell. On Friday, the prosecution rested the actual trafficking and conspiracy case against Ghislaine, who stand accused of helping the late finance the sexual offender Jeff Epstein procure underage girls to abuse. Now we're trying to get her, Sarah Killings. This is her. This is who we're talking about. Who is right now just walking the street, not doing any time at all. Here we go. They talking about, okay, prosecution began. They talking about prosecution. I want information about Sarah Kellen. I had her information up. All right, while I still look for that, I'm going to move on. Hold on. There we go. Let's see if the Guardian will pull it up. Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Maybe later. There we go. I'm gonna kick this thing, but so many pop-ups. Okay, this article is more than 10 years old. Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Woman with new identities run firms from Epstein-linked property. Two women questioned about Prince Andrew in 2010 operating business from New York property years after appearing to have left Epstein in tours. This is her, Sarah Killings and Nada. Oh, is that the name that we read earlier? Nada McCrinkova. McCrinkova. Y'all pronounce it Marcinkova. That's a crazy name. Questions by lawyers about whether Prince Andrew had any involvement in Epstein abuse have reinvented themselves as Sarah Kingston and Nadia McKinko. They renamed themselves. Oh, okay. We gotta find these. These two are Jeff Epstein alleged accomplice are running business from Manhattan property linked to the wealthy sex offender under new identities. Look at that. Years after appearing to have left his scandal plague in tour entourage. Okay, so it says Nadia and Sarah, who was questioned by lawyers about whether Prince Andrew had an involvement in Epstein abuse of underage girls, have since reinvented themselves. And what are they doing? It says so. Basically, Nadia is now a pilot and a chief executive of Aviloop, a website selling discount flying lessons and other details related to aviation. Okay, so she's definitely ready to get out of here. She's like, I'm gonna find my own thing. Killings, that's Sarah Killing, 34, states that she is now the owner of SLK Design, a renovation firm. Okay, okay. So she's still into designing and real estate. However, according to the public record, both business has operated from the address in the building of 66th Street in Manhattan, majority owned by Epstein brother Mark, a wealthy property magnate. Two condominiums in the building sold last year at $2.5 million and one at $1.85 million. So, oh my God. Miss Nadia company is officially registered in New York authorities at the building. Okay, so important information shows that Killings Company takes deliveries there. All right, so they're operating out of a state that's related to Epstein right now. They're both operating and still connected to some way, somehow, Epstein estate right now. One reinvented themselves, that is Miss Sarah Killen, reinvented herself into aviation, and the other one is doing designing again. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein, a friend of Andrew who was jailed in 2008 for soliciting prostitution from minors, was accused in 2011 court document of using the building to house young women. Several rented condominiums in the building have been lived in by Epstein associates, according to the public record. Mark Epstein said in a brief telephone interview on Tuesday, I own a majority of the units in the building, but I never heard of these companies, referring to the firms owned and ran by Miss Kelly. All right. This is ridiculous. You telling me that the DOJ can't find these people? You telling me that the DOJ don't know what's going on with these people? Virginia Roberts, who has long claimed that she was Epstein's ex-slave, alleged in a U.S. court filing last week that she was forced to have sexual relationships with Andrew. Prince Andrew. The prince vehemently denies these allegations, even though we know that he spent a lot of time at Epstein's apartment. He loved Epstein. He was just blown. He wouldn't even go home. That's how long Prince Andrew was in his house. You said he lived with Epstein. That was his frat brother for a little while. Okay. So these two women that we come to find out actually reinvented themselves. So Miss Sarah and Nadia, who is directly connected to Epstein and were his black widows, who lured females, according to Miss Juliet's lawsuit, has now reinvented themselves, and they're both working or connected to, can I say, using their business that is connected to Epstein estate to this day. To this day. So we just showed you some black widows as well as Lease, List, Lease, is LES, Waxner, the ex-CEO of um, Victoria's Secret, who has ties to him. Also, I believe that the Victoria's Secret guy, let me pull it up. He had to get some claims against him. Something that I remember. Leslie Goff. We don't want Leslie Goff right now, but we'll figure out who Leslie Goff is. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to Epstein relationship with Mr. Waxman. Okay. So according to this, Lex Waxner, this is the billionaire. Okay, this is the Victoria's Secret billionaire. Lex Waxner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret Bath and Body Works, had a decades-long professional and personal relationship with Jeff Epstein, who served as his financial manager from 1980 to 2007. Waxner has consistently denied any knowledge of Epstein actual crimes, claiming he was coned and that Epstein misappropriated funds. It didn't say con, like a con man. It said con. That must have been a misspelling. It's a con, like a was con and Epstein misappropriated his funds. Oh wait, do y'all know J.P. Morgan was sued as well by the United States? Oh, I got that case too. I told y'all they was involved in this, and y'all know. I know y'all said y'all know because they held bank accounts, but if you're gonna read the lawsuits, it's a little bit deeper than that because they're just giving you the surface value. Okay, so Lex Waxner again is the ex-Victoria's Secret CEO. And this is how he was connected to Epstein. So Epstein financial management was his primarily contact with him. He was an investor and a money manager for Waxner for a period unknown to clients. He had a power of attorney over Waxner's estate from 1991 to 2007. Very close. But wait, didn't we say Epstein was doing this since 1995? And nobody knew this? Nobody could sense or see the way that he was treating these women or something that was weird. That's what I said. These people are all-call defendants. Okay, property and asset. Epstein acquired several valuable assets previously owned by Waxner for his company, included private planes, $20 million Manhattan mansion on East 71st Street, where Epstein lived for years. Epstein also owned property in New Albany, Ohio, a community largely developed by Waxner. So Waxner was holding Epstein up. And if y'all don't know who that is he's connected to Victoria's Secret. So it says Victoria's Secret connection. Epstein reportedly used his association with Waxner and Victoria's Secret brand to present himself to women, at least as a talent scout. At least one uprising model, Alicia Arden, filed a police report in 1997 alleging Epstein assaulted her after posing as a modeling scout. Accusations on his property. One Epstein accuser, Maria Farmer, alleges she was actually assaulted by Epstein and Glenn Maxwell in 1996 at an Ohio property owned and secured by Waxner. Waxner have denied knowledge of this incident. I'm just reading the facts here. Several ties. Waxman claims he severed ties with Epstein in 2007 after initial allegations surfaced. However, released emails indicate communication continued between Epstein and Waxman's wife, Abigail, into 2008 regarding financial matters. Victim or accomplice? Waxman has maintained he was a victim of Epstein deceit and theft, vast sums of money. But Epstein was paying you, right? Because he was renting properties from you, or you was giving it for free, and he was giving you. What was going on here? Like, there's a lot of mixed funding here. He was managing your money, but then he was living on your property that he supposed to be paying you for, but he took your money and he misappropriated. I'm confused. There's a lot going on with this relationship, but there's some deep ties between this guy. Some Epstein victims and other sources have questioned how much Waxman knew, suggesting that he supplied the wealth that enabled Epstein to operate. No criminal charges has been pressed against Waxman. Waxman has never been charged with any of the crimes in relation to Epstein case. But if they move this case like a RICO case, like for real, they could tie these people in because RICO is loose. It's a loose association. And to get someone prosecuted for RICO, I think it should be much easier because it's like it's implied relationship, it's implied suggestive encounters or people doing things that they may not know led to other stuff, but you're still part of the criminal enterprise. That's how RICO works. So I don't even understand why they didn't run this case like RICO, like they were supposed to. Does that make sense? Let's keep it going. Now if y'all don't know who Mr. Waxner is, there's a picture of him. When y'all come and see this video, please hit the like, guys. I know this hard to digest, but guess what? We're telling it all. Here we go. So this is the Victoria's Secret connection. This is Mr. Waxner. This is him again with Epstein, as you can see. This is terrible. And then we have to think like, what are these people doing now and who are their proteges as well? What is this? Oh, let's watch this. Channel 6 News. It came over Mr. Waxner and Trump. Trump, dun 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 dun. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. We can look at it. Uh-oh. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to finish off this because we're on page 11. And this is a 16-page read. But at least we went deep diving. Okay, guys. I know I'm going to get in trouble for this like I did on the South Side when I was exposing one of the most corrupt mayors. But I don't give a damn. I'm telling. And we just going to run like that. God, take the wheel. Control the algorithm. Let the right people come in here to see this. And let's keep it moving. Let's go. Let's watch this.
I trust what the president said.
It's about
the Oversight Committee is looking into it.
Continuing coverage now on the growing controversy involving the Epstein files. Ohio Rep. Jim Jordan
Hold
is standing by President.
Let's first pause because on my algorithm it says that nobody's in the live, but I even have my other channel up and I'm watching it myself to make sure that y'all can hear me. So it's so weird that this is what they're trying to do, suppress. But guess what? We're going to do a replay later as well. We're going to do a replay. So let's watch this because this involved Donald Trump, Lex Waxner, Bill Clinton, and other peers. Let's just watch this right here, what the news has to say about this. Hit the like button. Thank you for being here. We're going to keep fighting.
I trust what the president said. And the Oversight Committee is looking into it.
Continuing coverage now on the growing controversy involving the Epstein files. Ohio Rep. Jim Jordan is standing by President Trump, who says he never sent a crude birthday letter to the convicted sex offender. The letter was part of a stack of documents just released from Epstein's 50th birthday book.
That was given to Epstein in 2003, which was 3 years before he was first arrested on sex crimes. Matt Galka is in Washington, where this controversy is playing out.
A 2003 birthday book compiled for Jeffrey Epstein contains messages, pictures, and notes from friends and family of the accused underage sex trafficker. The most notable part of the book is an alleged letter from Donald Trump accompanied by a lewd drawing of a woman. The note ends with "Happy Birthday," And may every day be another wonderful secret. The president has called the note fake, and the White House doubled down Tuesday.
We have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter.
It's divided into sections, including family and friends, with redacted sections from girlfriends and children. Other parts of the book have references to Epstein and young women. There's also an apparent handwritten note from former President Bill Clinton. Republicans have backed the White House's claim that Trump didn't make the drawing or write the note to Epstein.
None of the victims nor their attorneys were saying anything about, oh, look up this birthday card to see if it's legit or not. The president says it's not. I take the president's word.
Clearly, the birthday note from President Trump is a fallacy. It's just not true. That's a leftist talking about it.
Most of the people in the book, including the president, have not been accused of legal wrongdoing related to...
They always doing this political crap. This is a leftist talking point. No, it's not. It's in the papers. Bump left, right, up, down. We kicking pedals out and we exposing them. That's what we doing. We don't care what color, creed they are, what side of the world they come from. This is an international world problem. This is a Baal worshiping sacrifice problem, and we ain't biased, and we telling on everybody. I'm tired of their political garbage talk. I'm pretty much tired of the political, that's this is right, this is middle this. Shut the hell up and stop putting people in the category and just listen to what the hell we saying, because it may save you and your family from being by these pedo elites and covered up. Did I say it? Did I say it well enough? This is disgusting. And I'm pretty much tired of this political nonsense covering it up. Talking about 15-year-old is good to they adults. Pushing the goal points back. Mega. Saying crazy stuff just to make these people right. You're sending us to the path of hell. Literally, America is burning on a freight train right now, and you guys keep putting fuel on it. This is not political. I just had to highlight that. This is to save our children, save our men, and get some of these black widows out of here, which is these pedo women and these pedo men out of the United States. They need to be out of the world. They need to be castrated. Plain and simple. I'm biased. Castrate them all. I'm Haitian. Yeah.
Steve. Democrats are using the Trump references, including another entry in the book from an Epstein friend with a picture of Epstein holding a novelty check from Trump suggesting a woman was sold, to continue to tie the president to the scandal while pushing for a full release of all Epstein files.
Republicans don't want to engage in a cover-up of pedophilia and this pedophilia ring. They should go sign this discharge petition. A handful of Republicans is all we need. Democrats are all on board.
Trump sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion earlier this summer over a report on the birthday note to Epstein. His supporters claim that the signature in the picture doesn't match his. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Galka.
We are also now seeing tonight the letter that L Brands founder and New Albany billionaire Les Wexner sent to Jeffrey Epstein for that 50th birthday book. Take a look here at your screen. It says, "Dear Jeffrey, I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is." You can then see the crude drawing included in that letter. Wexner finished the letter by saying, "Happy birthday, your friend, Leslie."
Wow.
In the book, this photo...
So Wexner is not a Cody. Now, we're showing you this because God just popped it up on the algorithm. Wexner, I'm saying his name correctly. Trump and Epstein, these are their ties. And I just broke down a little bit of his history. And also his connection to Ohio State University and possibly a sexual abuse case going on there that he has supposed to been subpoenaed for but won't receive. And they went to the board meeting that I showed you, tried to protest, and they wouldn't even let these victims speak. This is not just these young girls. I bet you that there's young men involved in the Ohio State thing. These pedophile rings are happening in school, on campus, modeling agencies, in work environments, corporate world, business world, the stars, government. It's all types of. I was even hearing stories about the United Nations. Whistleblowers coming out about the United Nations being involved in this. But I'm gonna take a whole glass of up because I get too much international news. I'm just like, whoa. Like, so there's literally a documentary of a whistleblower who worked for the United Nations that's saying this is what they do And when people come to talk upon it, they go after them. They go after their family. Their family are threatened. Their family is unalive. I'm like, whoa, this is not just a one-tier thing, guys. You gotta know. So we went into Wagner. We went into Sarah Killen, who she is, and her assistant. These both, well, not her assistant, another Epstein assistant, where they both changed their identity. One is doing designing, one is doing aviation, and they're both still connected to one of the Epstein estates that's owned by his brother right now. Both of their businesses are still connected to these New York estates. So we're showing you in real time that they're still actively in business in places that can touch you. Okay, does that make sense? So let's move on. We're going to get to the end of this. We're almost done. We're on page 11. So instead of fulfilling Miss Juliet, because that's what we're talking about, her particular case, if you don't know the case number, it is case 119 CV 10479 ALC-DCF. This was filed on 11/14/2019, and this is located in the Epstein files that you guys can see yourself. But because I haven't seen no one taking the time to break these files down and read the cases to y'all, we're going to get them done because we're going to bring it to life. I don't care how vulgar it is, but we have people, we have sitting ducks, pedos that's right in front of our face that they have not been prosecuted. If this was a ring, an enterprise, where is the other people? That's my question. Where is the other people? Hard question. So instead of fulfilling Miss Juliet dream of becoming a model in New York City, Juliet was subjected to extreme and repeated abuse. Epstein actually abuse of Juliet was humiliating, degrading, and caused Juliet to cry herself to sleep at night. She felt trapped and alone on Epstein's private island, that island, Epstein Island, that's between America and Haiti. I mean, well, Haiti in between it. Epstein is stealing our Haitian kids. You don't like black people, but you're showing up stealing our bodies. Huh? Yeah, we discussed it. We all of this stuff, but you're stealing our bodies. Moving forward. That's why I'm passionate about this. Also to highlight that I was a sexual assault victim. I don't think to this totality, but like I said, I do resonate with these young ladies because some things that have happened to us, we just don't remember until we get a trigger, until we hear something, and then we remember it. So maybe this will spark the memory of people and they can continue to push against the tide and drain the swamp. We got to heal. So now instead of her career taking off, he continued to abuse her. She felt trapped on his private island. Juliet learned very quickly that Epstein was incredibly powerful. Look who he had. He had Andrew staying the night at his house playing cops and robbers and just basically playing sleepover for weeks. Weeks. Andrew was not going home. That was his best friend. Epstein abuse of Juliet lasted for years. Epstein forced her to travel to the United States many times to see Epstein and to be subjected to repeated abuse. And remember, she's from South Africa. Does not mean that she was just black. We don't know her ethnicity because we have a mixed multitude, okay? So at this time, sometimes staying in a New York apartment, Epstein never introduced Juliet to modeling agencies. She was never hired for a modeling job. For those years, Juliet felt like a prisoner and was afraid to betray Epstein because of his money and power. She was afraid he would hurt her and her family. In fact, the very first time Epstein brought Juliet to the United States in order to scare her, he told her that when another woman had accused him of R, he planted drugs on the woman in her apartment and had her sent to prison. Epstein made very clear that Juliet that he was incredibly wealthy, powerful, and in regular contact with world leaders and police. In fact, in his New York mansion, he had photographs displaying significant political figures to ensure that any young females entering his home would know that he had extensive government connection. Is that the picture of Bill Clinton in the dress? Is that the picture? Let's move on. Epstein was not to be disobeyed, and he made it clear by his words and actions that there would be consequences if Juliet did not comply with his demand. Juliet was also forced to travel to Epstein's home in Paris, where she had stayed with Ghislaine Maxwell, one of Epstein's main recruiters of young females. and where Sarah Killen forced her to be photographed nude with Epstein. Sarah, the aviation person right now. During that trip, Juliet witnessed that young females were on call for actual pleasure for Epstein because he needed 3 a day. Juliet's final trip to the United States was in 2004. She flew to see Epstein at his New Mexico ranch called Zorro Ranch. Epstein abused Juliet at Zorro Ranch. During that trip, Epstein took Juliet with him to meet another important government official. Juliet complained but complied with Epstein. At the meeting, Juliet began believed that Epstein had brought her there so the official could look over her. Juliet felt very uncomfortable and she and Epstein began to fight. That's when she was like, fuck this, you ain't about to sell me. Like, I don't think she physically fight, but they probably was arguing because she claimed he claimed that she was not being obedient. Epstein then informed Juliet that he wanted her to travel with him on a plane to California and serve drinks as some scientist's friend home who were going to be flying to California to have an event. But before the flight, after an argument with Epstein, Juliet flew home to South Africa. This was the last time Juliet visited Epstein. Epstein attempted to keep in contact. Now, this is the last part. We are done, 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 done. This is how disturbing and disgusting this man is. Epstein attempted to keep in contact with Juliet through email over the years. For example, in 2016, Epstein emailed Juliet to ask if she knew Sarah Ransom, another woman who was a victim of Epstein's sexual trafficking scheme. Then in June 2019, around the pandemic, while he was locked up, only 2 months before his death, Epstein sent Juliet an email asking her to send him some nude photos. 2 months before his death, in that jail, he still had access to email asking for explicit things, highlighting that the jail is supposed to monitor all mail going out, phone calls, email, and he noted this man is a level 3 perv, pedo. Wow. Juliet was deeply affected by her harrowing experience at the hands of Epstein and his co-defendants. That's not named in this court case. She developed an eating disorder that affected her for years afterwards. She also suffered from substance abuse, debilitating panic attacks, and severe anxiety. Epstein's sexual assault and battery to Juliet continues to cause her significant distress and harm. So this is the complaint. This is the lawsuit. I gave y'all the number. This is involved Miss Juliet versus Epstein estate. So we have a few questions before we get off of here because my phone is about to go down. I want to say thank you so much for being here with Miss Grace and making it through here. The algorithm will try to suppress this because they want you to have bits and pieces of information. We have 3 individuals that we named in here outside of Leanne Maxwell. Lise Waxner, which is the old CEO and owner of Bed and Bath in Victoria's Secret, is still walking around here like nothing is wrong. Probably done went to a whole nother country because you know a lot of them exited out in 2019 after they quit their CEO position. But he's in question to have knowledge of a few different sexual assault cases outside of Epstein that is connected to the Ohio University. Go look at that. So we're gonna leave that particular link for you guys so you can learn about that. This guy is still walking. We have Sarah Killens, who has changed her identity, possibly is in aviation. And we have the other one, Nadia. She has a crazy last name. She's also into designing or whatever she's doing. And both of their business, because they have recreated themselves, is still connected to the Epstein estate that is ran and controlled by his brother. His brother said, hey, I don't know these businesses, I just don't know. But you don't know these people when they was directly connected to your brother? These are the things that we need to highlight. Who is Epstein co-defendant outside of just highlighting, Trump and and Bill Clinton. There are people walking amongst me and you that have been involved in this and luring women into this. We have black widows that's involved in this. They call themselves madams, okay? They call themselves madams, where they lure these girls with trinkets, they'll things that they need, promise of a scholarship, promise of money, promise to help them get them to the next level, because a lot of these women are not just runaway bums and things like this. In this particular case, Sarah actually called Juliet's mother to inform her about everything and tell her that her daughter was going to be okay, this, that, and the third. Now, as an assault victim, I understand how hard it is to come and tell, especially if you feel like your people going to be harmed or if they're not going to believe you. We have family members who just don't believe these things when people come and tell them. I.e., I'm going to give y'all an example. Something happened in my family, and the person was told that their kid was being possibly accosted by a friend of the cousin, an outside person. They were all young. And when it was brought to the grandmother's attention of the young. All right, y'all. I do apologize. My battery went dead. We're going to finish off this live right now by saying thank you so much for being with us. You have been an amazing audience. Please press replay. Go look this up yourself. I will put the links to everything that I shared at the bottom. We'll start talking a little bit more about sexual abuse and the implications of it, and possible predators that's around us every day, male and females. I need you guys to protect your kids, love your kids, and don't take them for granted. Don't take what they say for granted, and be aware of the signs and symptoms of love bombing, lies and manipulations, and false opportunities, because that's what I'm seeing happening here. And it's a big system that's covering it up. So I want to say thank you so much for being here with Grace. I do apologize for it cutting off. Please hit the like button. Again, I may be gang stalked again, and IP address hit, because I'm doing what I did last year. I'm reading cases related to corrupt government officials. Last year, I was focused on a Democrat on the east side, which is Tiffany Hingard, and all the cases that she had against her. This year, we're going to be focusing on these Epstein files and actually going through the complaints so we can bring out the names of the others that they don't want you to have. So please hit the like button, because you're going to see that this is very important information, because these pedos are walking amongst us, and we must drain the swamp. Love you guys. I'll be live at 3:30 today. We have our Atlanta food giveaway where we're giving away sloppy joes and blankets. It is cold out there, guys, so join us live on Wednesday, where we vlog every Wednesday, where we give food back to the homeless. We're not here just talking. Miss Grace, Lady Grace, is out there in the streets. So you're going to see me feed 70 people today. Please be with me. I hope to see you there. Have a blessed